What's up, guys? Welcome back. Continuing with Minecraft movie characters, the Great Hog. So he's kind of like hunched over, walking on all fours. A lot of chains. Might leave off some of the chains because that's tricky. But we'll do the rest. Landscape page. Pencil eraser, hit pause if I go too fast. So I guess the best place to start is his frowns, right? So he's real angry. So we just do a curving sort of check mark line, right? So it curves up first and then down the back a little bit there. So it's a big curvy check mark. Same on the other side. Leave a bit of distance for his metal that he has, his metal plate that he has in there. Right, and he's like frowning. He's got like lots of wrinkles and stuff on his head, so it's like his frowning eyebrow area. His eyes are in under this, down, around, glowing just sort of orange and white. Right, so a little spike in where his tear duct is. Eye shapes, and he's got like a couple of wrinkles and stuff around. Do as much of that now as you want. So then, as I said, he has this plate in the middle of his eyebrows. So it's kind of brown as well, or well, it's a darker, could be gold, I'm not sure. But there's this silver part first. And then the darker part like runs like the whole way up. Kind of like goes right up into his, or right down into his snout, you know, that metal snout that he has. And this goes the whole way around his head. So, and he has kind of a square head, right? So top of his head is there, or top of his forehead, and this changes direction and goes back. And then it has a couple of sections inside, right? So it steps in both sides, then goes up and in. So a couple of steps just up. And then there's the large sort of gold mohawk type shape. I guess it's kind of like kind of his hair, kind of. Right, runs right down the middle. And it kind of finishes here. And there's a little angle to it. And then there's the silver part inside. It comes down. Same on this side. And so this whole thing is like strapped onto his head. So I think it goes down around and onto the metal covering for his nose, right? So this big round snout is here. Right in the middle of his face. And then we have holes, black holes just here. And then like a little sort of round little top part. And it can be like scratched up and stuff and dirty sort of. So he has two big fangs coming out from here. One of them's kind of square on top. Goes in behind his lip. And the other one's more round and pointy. So under here then he has like this, he's got a weird lip, right? So it comes like by his tooth and it seems to dip down like in the middle of his lip, right? It's like a little point there. And then his lip kind of like hangs down the side. So this little pointy part for the lip then. And then it's like in here, it's got like a row of crooked kind of white teeth. So you just do it kind of jaggedy there. Maybe like a gum line. And his mouth seems to go up, like the inside of his mouth which goes back that way. And I'm going to color this black, just in the shadow part, underneath the nose between the teeth. Because it'll make it look more like a dark mouth, you know. Okay, so then he has the straps. So they kind of go, yeah, we could just go this way. There's like some buckles and lines and stuff just coming out. And it goes around his head, strapped around there. And then over this way as well. Right, and then, so we get sort of his head shape, right? So, and it's kind of like bumpy. So he's got like side of his head coming up this way, right? And it's kind of like round here for the side, right? That's like his forehead. And then the back of his head goes right up to where like this is, and his ears kind of flop out then. Okay. So you kind of don't connect this part to the top of his head because of those floppy ears that hang down. So he's got like an ear coming out. Say like sticking out of his head like here, right? And then on this side as well. And one of them sort of hangs down more than the other. So say like do this one. And then this side. And then the bottom of his face, so he's got like cheek. And then like his neck and his head are kind of like the one sort of shape, right? So there's all these wrinkles, and his neck sort of and chin, they sort of like all meld into the one. He's got like a sort of a fat neck. It's all just wrinkly like that, with some hair sticking off it maybe. Now, so he's got some chains coming down the middle and then some like shoulder pads along the side. And an arm, and he's like hunched over. So we'll do this shoulder pad, and he's got like leather and stuff on him. So he's got this round sort of craggly shoulder pad first here. That's right up next to his sort of cheek. And so it comes down into there. And I'll shade this black in this gap. And then this has like holes in it basically. So like these which is kind of all over. Well, 4 of them that I can see. And we'll give this a bit of an edge line. And then he has a piece of ripped sort of leather hanging out here, going around his whole shoulder, kind of coming out from his arm. Because he's like walking forward, right? And then this will be his arm there. Real big, sticking out, right? So this is his forearm. You can make this as wrinkly as you want. His elbow comes down. And then he has that wrapped up sort of wrist, right? So he's got this bandage that comes across there. And then we'll bump this down. Goes all the way down to like the ground. He's walking on it, and then he has like 2 bumps for knuckles and a thumb sticking out the side there. So we got to make it look like it's kind of like wrapped in bandage, right? So you just do this crisscross. It's kind of like soiled, so it's like dirty and stuff. So his other arm is kind of, this one's coming forward, right? But the other arm is like behind his body. We have like chains and stuff hanging down here. So, say from like, we'll do the body part, and then we'll deal with this arm, right? Because all the chains and stuff kind of make it a bit tricky. So you got like all these square sort of hanging down pieces of armor, basically, right? So all these things. And then there's like a ripped sort of piece of fabric that like goes back up into his head here. And it seems to come behind this and join some more sort of metal armor that's up there, but we'll just get all this stuff in first. So chains are tricky to draw, right? So I'm going to do them kind of an easier way, I think. So say like we have one chain sort of connected. I'm going to do them black, right? So we're going to do like a line, a thick black line. Like that, right? And then you have an interlinked one. So it kind of like comes out. You could do these silver if you wanted, but I just think for sort of learning how to draw chains, this is kind of the easier way. You always have these links, one turned on its side, say for example, another one here. It's kind of thick, dark. It's kind of a more comic book way of doing them, right? And these roll all the way down to his belt, just underneath his chin. So we'll do another one coming out the top, maybe. You're just drawing these sort of thick rectangles overlapping one another. Right, and then there's just like a bar sort of one here, like a single, because it goes in behind. And then another one here. And then this way. He's a detailed character, isn't he? And this kind of like disappears into the top of his belt then. Disappears into this like gold stuff here. So just like a little hook or something here. And then there's one more chain that hangs down, but we'll do like the top of this gold box, right? It's kind of just a square on his belt. And then it's kind of like his snout. Like that. And then there's another gold rectangle that comes out the side. And the other one kind of connects to that chain. And there's another chain here, right? We'll draw this in first. So there's another little chain hooked here, hanging down as well. So we'll do this too. So again, just a little sort of chains hanging down. So like you just do like a rectangle and then like a line coming out and then a rectangle. And then like finally going into that gold there. That's like the easiest way to do chains. And chains are, like if you follow this channel for a while, they're hard to draw. So that's the easy way. Right, so then we can just see like his body. Like he's got like a leather belt and then like a loincloth. It's nearly like dangling on the ground, right? So it's all ripped and torn. Section in the middle. And it kind of just like hangs down here. And I think we can see his foot, but I'm not sure. And his belt goes around his big wide body. And then like we have loads of wrinkles on his chest. Just all hanging down here. There's probably a nipple in there somewhere. Lots of wrinkles on his belly and everything. And I think we can see another foot. Kind of toes. I think he has 2 toes, if I remember. So now this arm has a few more armor plates, but we got that big gold box right first, and then I'll like join it up to his shoulder. So we have a big box here. It's the weapon that he uses, and then this comes down, kind of sticks out a little bit in the bottom and then back in, and it goes behind the chains here that we drew, because it's like he's walking forward with this arm. And then he seems to have some little sort of knuckle things. Well, it's probably part of just the weapon, sort of just these little, it's got wheels and little nuts and bolts on it and stuff. And then there's some patterns on it. Now remember, if I'm going too fast, just hit pause. Give them warts and stuff like that as well. There's little lines that come across. It's like different sections to this now. Little box inside. Little box on this. And some more inside here. Just these little rectangular patterns. And we follow along some of these with some edge lines. So I'm just tracing sort of the outside of these lines just to make them look a bit more 3D. And maybe some scratches on it, why not? So we gotta like join it to his arm. Now there is like more chains and stuff on him, but I think we've done enough chains. So we can do like, yeah, we'll just go like coming out. So the box, his arm comes out of the box, right? And then he has a leather strap. And his hand will just bump his shoulder up into this sort of area there, right? And then we'll put some straps across. Right, so straps going up and down, so they're kind of crisscrossing each other. Maybe another one going that way. And then there's some more like metal boxes will go. So we'll just do this kind of rectangle, kind of like these boys here, these ones. Can be tricky now to get. So, and we'll probably connect it with a strap to his arm maybe. And then there seems to be one more up here. Like something else connected into his body there. So that's all like armor and stuff. So, apart from the chains, a lot of detail in this guy, including the chains, should I say. But there he is, great hog. Hope it's helpful. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Bye.